Welcome to another Travel with T-Bone video. I'm your host T-Bone, and I'm going to talk about Stephen A's final video, why China is the best ESL market, and he talks about making money. Stephen starts this video. Now, there's some things I like with this video. Let's be positive, and then we'll get negative, and then we'll be positive again, so that way we can make a nice little sandwich and all is well in the ESL world. So, Stephen A starts this video by saying some things such as, China is the only place for you to make money in the ESL world, and all the other markets are dead or dying or just like a crapshoot and yada, 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 yada. And so from what I would say, if you followed him long enough, you know that he didn't spend a lot of time in Prague or in Vietnam, and because he wasn't making enough money, right? Now, I'm sure when he first came to China, if you also notice, he wasn't making a lot of money. He was making about 8,000 RMB a month, and then he slowly understood the system, figured it out, and then moved up and up and up and was able to make more money. Now, the same is true with every single country you go to. You kind of have to figure out the secrets of how do you get access to the wealth, because there are going to be shitty jobs there, and they're going to be crappy jobs, and there's going to be really good jobs. So the first thing is, if you're looking online for a job, odds are that it's probably not going to be the best job you can possibly find in the country. He mentioned Westgate in Japan, and Westgate is just another one of those big ESL companies that you can work for with a fancy name, but the perks and stuff are pretty bad. I remember sitting through interviews with another big company when I was working in Japan, and it was Berlitz, and it was the same sort of thing. They have a big fancy name. They have the direct method for teaching English, which has some proven methodology based on the series method by Francois Goen. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the history of it all. But the point is that they had a big brand and a big name, but at the end of the day, the perks weren't very good. Why? Because it wasn't the best option. The best options in Japan are a few, but not everybody can get them. If you can get them, I would say go to Japan. You can make more money, and you can have a really cush sort of life, but you have to know where to look. First off, I want to talk about his tax percentage claim. He says it's 45% in Japan. No, it is not 45%. When I was working there, I would say it was close to about 20. I was working in Tokyo for an eikaiwa company. I made, I think, $2,500 in the time in Tokyo, and I think I lost about 20% to tax, so about 50,000 yen, and then the rest was in my pocket. So then I did have to pay for an apartment, and I had about $1,500 after everything was said and done. Would I recommend this route as an ESL instructor? No, but the tax percentage isn't as high, and it's something to consider. So you're not losing about 50%. I would say it's closer to 20%. So now that you have this information, what can you do with it? What you can do is you can look at what I would consider the two best options for Japan. Option number one is JET, J-E-T. JET is a program that is sponsored by the Japanese government, and it pays the best. They give you your airfare allowances that he talks about that also exist in China. They pay for your apartment. They pay you well. They'll pay you more than what you would make in China because it's the best and most prestigious. Now, if you're somebody that's fresh out of university looking for an ESL gig, JET is going to be very hard. You need to prove that you're a serious teacher, because JET wants serious teachers. They want serious employees, and they don't want just another fly-by-night ESL instructor who's there for a week, a month, who's crazy. There's so many crazy ESL instructors in the world, and the Japanese know this because they've been doing the ESL game for so long. So hence why JET is the harder one to get, but the great difficulties you overcome are handsomely rewarded. What I would suggest to do JET and get into it is either, have a degree in education. Now, if you don't have that, you can still get a TEFL. Look for a known TEFL organization, and then do the 120-hour TEFL program before applying. Does that mean you're going to get the job? No, it's going to be hard, but that is an option. Option number two, you take a big ALT company like Interact, something like that, and you have a crappy first year. But after your crappy first year, just like Steven's crappy first year in Japan, you learn the other way. The other way is through self-sponsoring your own visa. Now, how does this work? The hiring season in Japan usually happens in the spring. There's 2 months of crazy hiring where everybody's looking for teachers. And then when the spring comes to an end, if you're out of a job, then you can be shit out of luck. Maybe. The other option is looking into self-sponsoring your own visa. If you cross a threshold, $2,000 every month, and have proof, contracts that show you're making more than that, you can self-sponsor your own visa. Now, this is really important because you, as a employee, as an ESL instructor, have a lot of leverage at this point because the schools that are looking to hire are at this point desperate. You will get paid a lot more money as an ESL instructor by waiting it out and taking a day or 2-day gig every week and then combining that to make a 5-day schedule where you could make a lot more money. Now, how this worked when I did it is when I was in the exact same situation. I waited it out and I ended up making about 1,500 US bucks for working 2 days a week, and each day I worked about 2 hours each day at a kindergarten. I did 6 classes. Each class was 20 minutes. We did it back to back to back to back to back, had some lunch with some kids, and then I went home. It was the easiest, most cush gig I could have possibly ever had. Now, you have to look for those, and you have to scout it out, and you have to hustle, just like how you have to hustle in China for good jobs. Next, let's look at Korea. So those are the ways to succeed in Japan for without doing a master's degree or anything like what I'm doing. Anyway, so Korea, how do you succeed in Korea? First off, if you're working for a hagwon, you can do side jobs. Now, you have to agree with it in the contract. Korea follows its contracts very strictly. If you're going to go off the contract and disobey what's being written there, odds are you're going to get fucked. Plain and simple. You're just probably going to get fucked. So if you negotiate in your contract, such as I have the ability to work part-time hours, I will provide proof to my employer, maybe throw them a little cut of what you're making so that way they're happy, because at the end of the day, they're sponsoring you and they're doing the tax stuff for you as well. So if there's this hidden income on the side, it's a big, big problem. If you've lived in Korea, you know that the banking systems are very, very strict because once upon a time, it was a hotspot for laundering money. So because of that, the bank laws are strict and they're checking a lot of the money that's going in and out of your account. So if you do it the right way, you can do side jobs and make a bit of money. Would I recommend it with hagwons? I would probably not. The reason why is because when you're working at a hagwon, you're going to be working all the time. However, there are perks to working at a hagwon. They do pay for your housing and they do give you a flight allowance and they give you a severance pay. They give you an extra month's pay for completing the contract. Legally, all companies have to do that in South Korea. So you can get a nice $3,000-ish extra by the time you finish your contract when working there. Now, the other option is doing the public school system. You could work in the public school system where you're not working as much. Will you get the ability to work part-time? In Korea, maybe not. If you do it online, yes. If you're doing it online, you're keeping it out of the Korean system and you can get paid through PayPal. You can go through people that do online schools, such as one situated in China that might pay a bit more money. And then you reap the rewards by getting paid through your PayPal, keeping it out of your Korean bank account, and everything is handy dandy, right? So these are some options to consider when you're teaching in Japan or teaching in Korea. To end it on a positive note, like I said I would. So with Steven's video, I would say that it's the easiest to come to China and make money. There's so many people that aren't very qualified. And if you're not that qualified but want a second chance, want to give ESL teaching a shot, are curious on making some money to pay off your student loans, China is the easiest to do, but you can make money in these other countries. You just have to be able to look for it, negotiate contracts, and put yourself in a situation where you're not going to get completely screwed. That's all. Hopefully this video helps so you don't put yourself in these sort of situations. If you like this video, give it a like. Leave your comments below. If you didn't like the video, give it a dislike. Please say why. But yeah, that's all. Thanks, and have a good day.